Hope you're doing good. If not, as always, I hope it gets better for you. So as you can see, the lights are off in here, but still, wanted to give you guys a little gander since we haven't been in here for quite some time. But out here is what I'm making this video all about. As many of you guys know, I like to breed fish, lots of fish, and try to conserve a lot of the rare genetics that I can. But I'm also always limited because I never have enough tanks. So what I'm doing, if you look down here, I've got pipes. So this is what it's gonna be. This is the project I'm working on. What I wanna do is screen all this in because I get a lot of bugs. See it going down there. I get a lot of bugs like dragonfly larvae, other things, hummingbirds. God forbid a bird ever finds this is over here. I would hate to risk my genetics for that. So I got my string out here, lining things up, getting all my poles and posts where I'm gonna put them. And it's definitely gonna be a big project. As you can see, there'll be lots of posts to put in. I think 46 on just the outer perimeter, not counting the inner and the middle for braces, but we're going all the way down here. And yes, the barb breeding pond will definitely be going into it. And not only that, I have it marked out for another one. That way I'll be able to swap this out back and forth, be able to collect and keep it going more as one continuous system. But here's our other corner here, lining up to the barn. So this is what I'm gonna plan on building. Screened in area, all that, all the way down. That'll let me get a lot more tubs and a lot more genetics going. But I need your guys' help. I need your guys' support because I can't do it without you guys. So if you guys have been looking for homebred stuff, real nice fish, sometimes rare stuff, actually a lot of times rare stuff, hit up LRBAquatics.com and I can continue doing what I've been doing for a long time, but on a much bigger scale, which will allow me to have a lot more availability for you guys, because I know a lot of my stuff, since it's all homebred, it sells real quick and I just can't keep up. And also, I mean, that's a good problem to have because, oh man, look at all these babies. I get distracted because that's a good problem to have because, that means more people are keeping these genetics as well. Because sometimes, and many times, it's happened to me where years later, the genetics will be gone. You can't even find the fish. Then you're just out of luck. So I want to try to conserve a lot of that, especially now because sometimes you just don't know the way the wind is going to blow, especially with tariffs and other things. And eventually I would like to screen in my ponds here as well, just to keep the frogs out. I keep getting a ton of frogs. Another reason why I don't want frogs in these. Lots of things I don't want in there. And then hopefully I'll be able to get my aquarium garden picked up and off the ground here soon as well, which I may end up doing some racks and stands inside of this. But that's the plan. Wanted to share it with you guys, what I'm doing, what the plan is for the big project. But I thank you all so much for the support and get me this far. See those dragonflies already? Get out of here. There's nothing I can do. Literally, as I'm pulling the line, the dragonflies like to ride on it and taunt and tease me. And there is lots of different ways to support as well. I have a tip jar on my website. There's also tips here. And if you don't even want to buy something, that's another way you can help support as well. Maybe you're a company or a fish store. You would like to support and sponsor this build. Maybe hit me up. We could do some advertising. So here's the barn and here's the cover. And that's all on feet. So That's how big that's gonna be. All right, this is about my 4th time getting it lined up, marked out. And I've got my front line ready. Gonna start digging the holes, get the first post in, then work off the top. If you guys want to see me make this whole video, your guys' support will be real important. And heck, while we're at it, why not? Let's try to get to 100K subscribers. Why we do this? I've been doing this a long time. Can't believe I haven't made it there yet, but I need your guys' help to get there. So anything you guys can do to help is much appreciated. Already breaking ground here, first post. Now you see it's not right up against the barn. My plumbing drain actually runs against that edge. So I'm actually just gonna float that corner, which won't be an issue engineer-wise, because I'll be able to have support just right at the edge. So if it cantilevers a little bit at the top, won't be an issue. But jumping right into it, which I did have to break down and buy a pole digger, because I figure with as many as I gotta do, it's always good to have the right tool for the job. Let it begin. It's gonna be a few trips. This way ensure quality, because when you just order it, you always get the best quality, so I can't just get it delivered. So trip by trip it is. Here we go. First hole is dug. Had to put this in there so nothing fell in it overnight. Got my line for the front. Followed through there. And up along here, up there, will be my height. Once I get my first post in, which I'm gonna put a little cement on the bottom, get my post in, then fill it up with cement, get it in there, and then that will be my jump off point. And yes, eventually I'll build storage for all this and make it nicer, because it's just out and about now. But that's another project after we get this going. And it has begun. First post is in. I can work my way down, get them all in. All right, got the top string line here. That way I'll know, for the most part, I can be as straight as possible. Not be perfect, but it'll be mine. That'll keep me at the same height. Second one is up, nice and level. That was a lot harder than the first one, just trying to get it level. Working my way down. Now, I'm not always the best at asking for help, but if there's one thing I've learned in my life is if you need help, ask for it. And this is why you guys are super important. I have gotten it started, but I need your guys' help to finish it. I don't have the funding or resources to finish it, so I'm gonna build it as time goes out, because it is a big project and it will take time. So thank you all once again for the continued support to be able to keep this passion going, keep the genetics that I'm keeping going, because as you guys know, there's a lot to keep in this fish hobby and to do, and you can never have enough tanks. This is what I was talking about. The dragonflies just taunt me on the lines, always. They think it's their own personal perch. Which the owl that you guys saw, the whole reason for that is once I get all these posts in, birds are gonna want to perch, and hopefully that owl will keep them away. So a big ounce of prevention. Oh, and if you're wondering what this tank was, it's a dwarf sage, and it actually flowered as well. And then I've got the black orochis in there, or however you pronounce them. Black rice fish. And the babies. Now here you see it's 4 foot, and then this is 8 foot. This is gonna be the door. This will be the first just regular screen. Now as I work my way down, I am making sure I am 8 foot between. And then after I find my center point, right where I wanna be in front of the face, then I'll stake this over and keep the string just a little bit in front of it. So if I ever wanna move it back, recheck it, especially after the pole's in it, it's right there. It's real accessible, and so is the measurement. Now, unfortunately, all my yard is not sand, and there's actually a lot of rock. So luckily I got my netherite pickaxe. Might as well do some top offs where I'm at too. Even though it just rained, a lot of evaporation. Dragonflies. All right, first wall is done, nice and level. Next. One thing about getting around the corner, I want to make sure that's level. That way I can level up the string as I work my way down. So as long as this is level and I've got it level on there, I can better figure out what's level over there because the ground is not level. But I want the top to be level because I could always work in the ground here later. Now, coming around this bend where I gotta go at an angle, once again, reset my lines. I started at the face of this corner here. Since I gotta go diagonally, I'm not gonna be square and flush anymore. I'm gonna run down that way. But what I'm gonna do is make a piece in here alongside this, because I could always attach something. I could always attach support for my frames later on for the screens. But still running it down 8 foot at a time. So I'm digging out here and check out this guy that came out. Some big old black snake. He come up behind me. He's just watching me now. Like, what is this guy doing? What's up, dude? He freaked me out though. He's pretty good size. Good old Florida. With the new project I'm working on now, I'm not gonna have time to really clean this up and do the maintenance on this fish room for you guys. So, working on this, and once again, nature gives me a nice little surprise right behind me. I didn't even realize it. Is this massive spider. You can see him there, all hunched in. I have no clue what kind it is. That must be its little trap area. Maybe I unlidded it or something, but dude was right behind me. Wild Florida. And that is not just some regular wolf spider. Got like black tarantula legs. That's good size. At least half the size of my phone. And I want to poke them with this stick, but I don't really want to disturb them. Move this tub in the front just to kind of separate me and him. He went from defense to offense. He's in offense mode now. Ah! Threw some dirt his way. I couldn't help myself. I wanted to see what he looked like. He's a beast. This thing is ginormous. I have no clue what kind of spider. If that's a wolf spider, I ain't never in my life seen one this size. That's like the grandmama of mamas. Now to make sure I get this nice and level, I break out the lasers. You can see on the post there, about as straight as it gets. But it's cool just seeing this laser and what it does. Come in the stars. Check this out. Ain't this cool? I don't know. Construction can be fun, especially in this day age. Like we're all the way down to that pole down there. Ha! Huh, I didn't even mean for them to line up, but it does. But now I know where to put my line, so I can see it in the daytime. They've landed. It's real, I'm telling you. Can't help but keep playing with this thing. see at the center of the city. It's down there. It's downtown. Now this is Florida. Look at this thing, is huge, dude. Like seriously, look. Next to my cup. Thing's a monster. Slowly but surely we're getting there. Can't wait. Now the new expansion is really looking like a job site. Look at that bad boy. Now I should have did this before adding the post. I was gonna do it by hand, but trying to get the ground leveled out. Luckily the neighbor let me borrow his skid steer. We can fit a lot more tubs in here. La 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 la. All right, got the exterior pulls up where you guys saw me line them up, stake them up, and then post them up. We're all the way around now. Now, to get into the interior, you can see I got a little bit of an operation going on here. I've got my line that I used my laser level, which, you know, it was kind of hard to actually get it to make sure it was the right angle. So, to double check, as always, you should, because the tape measure never lies. And you know, not all these are probably that straight. So this kind of helps me figure out variations and differences, but the whole point is to find my common points from here to here, because that's where my next support's gonna be. And make sure that it measures up down the line. That way all that gets built here will be nice and square. Because by the time I get to the end of it here, it'll be a lot easier to cut those transitions off, because there'll be a cantilever over there actually. So you can see the support is actually a little bit off the actual foundation, which just a tiny bit will cantilever over, so any deviations will be met there instead of trying to square it out in like the middle or center support of it. So if you're ever trying to do something like this, something to think about, and make sure that you are squared up and lined up. And I did use stakes here where I got the mallet out, pounded them in. That way I know if a cat trips on it or something like that, I do have markers. And you can see my pieces of wood, some of those containers, just because I got a bunch of them. I needed something flat. I use those to hold them down if I'm not using them. And you can see here my support's going to be on that one, and then it's going to go to that one. So those are a little less than 16 foot, so they are going to be long runs. Then kind of have the middle support there. And then on this wall, this is where if there was a hurricane, that would be most of the issue. And you can see I am actually doubled up here, so I am going to go ahead and put supports that close up. Even though I don't need them there, I feel like that's going to really strengthen it up for if there was any kind of like hurricane issues or problems. That, I mean, I feel like it's going to be built sturdy enough, but I like to re-engineer. I like to over-engineer, but now I've got to do it all for the whole interior of this, so get to work. And my trickiest spot is going to be this space right here, because it's actually a triangle, because I have to slant it. And I am going to just square it up from here, and then we'll worry about that section towards the end. So it'll be squared up space there, squared up space here, and then we'll triangulate. And so the interior supports begin. And what I'm doing to make sure that my lines stay straight here is, you see I've got these pieces of PEX or even PVC, so I got one on each side. Same there, you know, it keeps it in line. It's a guide, so whenever I gotta move it over, I can put it back where it needs to belong. Because when I'm digging this out, this is where I need the post here in this corner. But when I'm digging, I've got to move this out so I can move it over, and boom, I got it right back where it needs to be. And I got another post here to hold it away. Then I can find my spot right back. Makes it a lot easier and more manageable. I'm trying to do this kind of thing. Also got my line up top here, which, you know, it's not perfectly level, but it at least gives me an eye and a guide for if I'm gonna be level after I level these. Because if I'm just guessing, I'll be up and down, not knowing where I'm at. That at least lets me know where I'm at. Hold this dug at the same time. Make a little ring around it. Pull all the plants out around from it. That way it'll give it a nicer finish when I get done. It's just a couple inches. I'm not gonna video it. It is quite a process. But next I will be getting the pole, put it in there. Then I'll be measuring up and down, try to get there first. And then I'll measure it left and right and make sure it's level both ways and the right height. And usually leave like a couple inches of cement down there. And as I'm kind of getting it straightened as I go, I just put a little bit of cement in, a little bit, and then I can just top it off. And that's how I do all the poles. And yes, sometimes it is a pain trying to get it just right. This laser level has been handy. Now that I had it laser leveled, now recheck the next day, make sure that my measurements are the same as the rest. That way, if anything moved, I still know where I need to be. All right, working our way down. Getting there, starting to look like it. You know, just the feeling you get when you see your work being done and it coming to life. It's a great feeling. And I know this is a bit unorthodox, but you know, this line I've been working to make sure that everything's level up top. I just figured something out with it. So it's just a ladder and a PVC pipe. And I got a line taped up there because I wrapped it around a bunch of times. It was just the easiest, fastest way to fasten it. But I did notice I can't get my height just right because it's right through that hole in the ladder. I can just move it up and down, and then I get my exact height where I need to be. And I just keep it tight. But you know, it pulls it a little bit on the ladder. But a little makeshift thing. I know, I'm weird. It's just how my brain works. Nobody's taught me how to do this, so I'm pretty much teaching myself how to do it. Well, first hole of the day, dug it on the wrong side. I wasn't paying attention, didn't dot my I's and cross my T's. I didn't double check. Went to check up top and I was like, why isn't it lining up? Looked at it, it was on the wrong side. Now it looks kind of crazy right now. And the hole that I gotta dig is literally on the side of it. So this is just gonna push me back a little bit. But essentially this is just full of water. And I'm putting the dirt in as the water goes down. That way this will reconstitute itself. So when I come back later and it's all dried up, then hopefully this won't all fall out if I was just putting buckets of loose dirt in. This will actually keep it more compact for me later. So I don't know what I'm gonna do now, because now I gotta wait for this. It's like an earth patch. Now just give it a couple hours, should be good. Where'd the turtle go? That was pretty wild and cool to see. But my earth patch is done. It is ready. Got my marker here on the right side where I belong. Boom. Let's get back to it. Same day, a couple hours and a lunch later. Seemed to work pretty good. Getting there. That half is done. And it may not be perfect, but it's done. We'll see. I'll fix it one way or another. Now I've just got to get that back side. All right, all set up. Working on the top supports here, which I should have done this on my outside perimeter a long time ago, just to keep these from twisting and bowing away from each other. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit what I just done. That way they don't twist up, bow out. Like this one, super twisted. I can only do so much with it. When I go to support it, it'll be what it'll be. But as I'm going through this, I make sure that I do my measurements from the bottom, get my numbers from there with the tape measure. That way it's squared up when I get to the top, because that's not all the same, because some are bowing one way or the other. So get your measurement from the bottom. And since I'm only one person and some of these are kind of long runs, I actually made a second man out of this 2x4x10. So when I prop this up, I can get in one side and have it hanging by the other side just by buttoning it up against that other one, which makes it easier for me to do by myself. And then as far as the attachment goes, they got these 20 counts and lows of these angle brackets, only $10, which is not bad considering what some of this stuff can cost. And then I've got the exterior deck screws. And since they're not really supporting much, I'm not worried about putting one on the bottom. I just need them to hold each other together. So now I just gotta work my way around and in and down all through this. And I also don't have to worry about leveling it. I just keep it plumbed and flush, which just means even. Now I said I wasn't gonna put any underneath it, but for $100 upgrade, might as well go ahead and support the bottoms of it. That way it'll just give it more longevity throughout the years. Less sagging, more durability. And I'll feel better about it. You too, kitty? Come on. Now, unfortunately, getting these put up isn't always that easy. Sometimes they're pinched in to where it's real tight. That's always great, but when it gets loose and you got quite a bit of distance to gap, it can be tough getting that pulled into the hole. So what I do is just grab a longer screw. The longer screw, I can reach the wood and then it'll actually torque it in straight. And you do want to try to level it before you do all that. So that'll pull it in. You can see how my two-man 2x4 is working for me. Then also that one was so bad I had to get a rope, tie it tight, pulled it that direction, and then also get a long screw. So even if it doesn't go up that easy, there's a will, there's always a way. Don't give up. And you can see it's not quite plumbed, and the other side's sticking out. So what I need to do is raise this up a little bit and go this way a little bit. So I'm gonna pull this out and re-hole it into like right around there. So even if you don't get the hole right the first time, don't worry, don't get frustrated. Oh, need a battery, of course. Also on this corner here, the gap was so wide, My second man 2x4 wasn't big enough, so you just get another one. And that adds you a little more gap to hold it up for you. Also, another way around that, see how this one's bowing that way? So this one's gonna be a long stretch. I can go ahead and get my piece in here, and that'll help push it over that way too. So there's many ways to go about it. It's starting to come together though. You see that gap down there, it looks better already. Also, pro tip when cutting, cut the factory end off first because they're not always straight. So if you cut one end just a little bit, blade length, that'll give you a nice straight edge and you won't have to fight it putting it up there. All right, so that is all done and really starting to feel like an enclosure now. Now I've just got to work on this half of it because I had to move all these tubs that were along the side of these. You can still see the dents in the ground from them. Those are all moved. Got that all cleared out on the side of my barn, which we're going to put one down that way and then this one down that way. So I've got 6 more posts to do here. All right, got the laser level out again. Try to make sure these are straight, even though I should probably just use my tape measure. But I don't know, it's always fun playing with this thing. Got it all staked up, ready to go. Let's do this. Nice and level. What do you guys think? Huh? It's gonna be an interesting rundown with these guys. Hopefully they stay there. We'll deal with them later. You know what I need is one of those cute little under construction signs. Getting there. And I get to be around my fish and plants. All right, interior posts are done. They're in all the way, besides one. I'll need one somewhere in here at some point because this will probably be a span. This is where it kind of triangulates and it's going to be a little trickier to post up and support. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and get all this square done on that side and then this square of it done here. Then we get to the triangle part, we'll do that as a third part. But now we'll finish supporting up the tops and then we'll start working our way up that way on the top. Which these are going to take 16 footers. I'm thinking 16 foot by 10. How about that sky today? Beautiful. That's what it should look like. Now I gotta clean up all this mess, pick up all these lines and brain my way through that. Cause you know, I've never done anything like this. Not completely. Now for the next phase. All right, so now we gotta work on getting the bottom support on, the top support, the big beams, and then the ones that go across here. So that's why we got all these 16 footers here. I got some 8s for supports as I attach things, but I'm gonna use 10s. I wanted 12s. They're a lot more expensive. Went with 10s. They'll be all right. Time to run through them. I tried the best I could to get those 16 footers up there. Even had these put up. Was not easy. They kept sliding around, so I screwed them in, but still trying to keep it up there without falling off. And trying to get to each side. It was a whole operation. So I do got a helper coming by, so hopefully I'll be able to get that done soon. But in the meantime, actually topping off all these tubs, but I'm gonna have to empty some because I don't want that treated wood to get into my tubs. That could cause a lot of problem for a lot of things that I've been working on for quite some time. And never want to risk it like that And so I'm gonna have to empty some of these, get them moved. I got plenty of space out in between these things, and that way I don't have to worry about later on wishing that I moved them and just doing it. What's up, little buddies? That's my cleaner crew right now. But we do got lots of babies going on. You can see there's a lot of things. Collecting eggs, trying to get things going here. Pretty little babies. And a lot of these are full, so gotta get these topped off because it's been super dry. Get this going again. Some gratuitous fish footage. And also, as much as I don't want to, these beautiful, beautiful things of pearlweed and whatever this plant is, I don't even know what this is, some native plant. I'm gonna have to tear these down. That's gonna be a pain. I don't wanna do it, but I'm gonna have to do it. Has been a nice surprise though. Some of these tubs that I ended up moving, I've been finding babies in them, which is cool. Must have just had some eggs on the sand there. That one's a different color. Huh. It looks like albino. All right, got that first board up. Worked the way down to the barn. Kind of see what I'm doing here, and then we gotta work our way around. Well, it's starting to come together here. Got the long supports that way on the outside. And now we just gotta do these insides. Getting there. And I'll have to get these boards back up. That way I have more to put on when I go put the frames of the screen on. Forecasted for no rain all week, but I did not get that lucky. Got some tops over these spots, so hopefully none of that dribblage is a problem. Already got that out there, but it is raining, as you can see. It was not supposed to. Starting to come together. Still got to get this middle part in. You can see these 2x4s though next to the 2x10s up there. That way I'll get more meat when I do the frames for my screening. Still got to do the insides, still got to do the edges of the cantilever. But right now, working on getting the bottom boards in. Gonna work my way around. Then I got to put these boards back up that I had on the outside as well. Just for doubled up somewhere to put the frames into when I screen them, but we're getting there. We're getting there. Might as well show you a little bit. Oh, look, that one's kind of looks like a emoji. See the eyes, the mouth. What's that pearlweed? Those blood oranges or blood reds. A little more orange, but those things are vibrant. But yeah, we'll probably have to still move some of these around. A little breakdown of what was done here. So on each end, did tack up 4 screws. May put a couple more, just like right in between here and here, just a little more extra support. Not really needed. Tack this up, and I'm gonna have to end up putting some in the middle when I get time. And then same with the one up front. Tacked it for each one. And then now on the bottom, as far as taking care of this, I'm not really worrying about leveling it or anything like that. Just kind of trying to run smooth on my way down. Did have to get the pickaxe out, dig a couple high spots down, because what I'll eventually do is put sand up against this a little bit. That way Hopefully nothing can get in that way. It'll kind of seal it. But I do got to dig out my high spots. And then I'll fill in my low spots. Working my way around. Next round, I finish up those middle pieces and the edges. Got all the boards out. Gonna put them on the in-betweens here. Along there. And then here and there. I got them all prepped, ready to go where they should. Screws in, kind of cut them first, then did the screws. That way it's only one process at a time, and then another process makes it go a lot faster. Lady LRB is gonna be on her way out to get these up with me, and then we can finally get these secondary boards like up there back on. That way we'll have something to attach to. I already got those in, but get these back ends in. Ends are finished off. Middle is in now. See how I got these long boards here on this side of it? Well, on the other side, there is none. And I need some, because that's where we're going to attach the screen. So now I've got to go down and add on the back side of these another 2x4x16. So get those up so I can tack everything together. What the other side looks like. And I had got more tops too. I got to get them on for when it does rain, because I am going to run joist here, which are going to be 12x8s. And I still got to get these two boards up here in this corner, but I'm going to have to get those in, because this is all going to be a deck. Which got the delivery of the joists, the 2x8s and the 16s just in. It's kind of funny how I said I didn't want to cover my ponds and tubs. And the big reason why I'm even building all this. But now, since it's all treated and I don't want to drip it in there, I've got to cover my tubs and ponds. But, you know, that's only going to be for a period of time until this can kind of rinse out. When you can see the blue treated stuff on there. Until it kind of fades out, rinses off, nature kind of dilutes it, then I won't have to worry about it. Now I could move them all in the spaces where it wouldn't rain down on it. That's a lot of work. Easier for me to get tops, because I only got so much time, and this build is pretty much taking all of it right now. As you can see here, I got one of my joists in. Start working my way down. I am gonna go ahead and put the screws in first. That way it's easier on me to where they're gonna go. To make it easy on me, make sure they line up when I put the screws in. And mark this down. Give me a nice straight line. Now I know where to put my screws. All right, the joists are in. They're up and ready. Now the decking part is about ready for the decking. I want to put a few here on the back ends. Then I also got the triangle piece to figure out, which I have. I also got to put these trim boards up. So the next step, I'm going to finish putting these trim boards up so I can put the frames like on here, up there. And then we'll go ahead and run beams across. They're not going to be quite straight. This is 8 foot, so I can screen that way and run the joist that way, run one that way, and then we'll run one all the way that way, but we'll have to just connect it to there. May put a post there, we'll see. Just gonna go all the way down over here. I do got a little gap here because where it angled in. So all I'm gonna do is put a little piece here probably just to hold it together. Or I may just run one this way, I don't know. Kind of just building as we go, aren't we? Pretty good size. And you can see on these outside joists here, I'm doing it a little different, so I got them all prepped up, spaced in between these other joists. But what I'm doing is I'm putting up one in on one side, and yes, dodging wasp nests, but I will go on the other side and then toenail it up on the bottom and the top, and probably a couple on the side there. So I gotta get those all in, those little ones. It's a little work, but it'll be done right. That's key. And how I want it. Then also got these covered up plastic. So I ran the tops like these across, draped the plastic over because I could get the plastic for pretty cheap. 100 foot by 10 foot was like 30 or 40 bucks. Still kind of pricey for what it is, but not as much as getting all these to cover all of that. So not only have the big tubs, but the small tubs as well. And one other thing I want to get going before I get this all too far up, and while this is covered, is good old power washing on the barn, because it might be a while till I want to power wash in here, so that'll give me a nice straight clean. Then on and moving, as we get through this, we'll start working on our ladder. That'll lead up to the deck. Then we'll get our screen up and start working on our decking board. 130 pieces of 16-foot decking board. It looks wild down the middle here because it bows out at that one spot. Makes it look like it curves out. And how close do I get to the wasps? Yes, real close. They stand guard. I keep watch. So I ain't even trying. And the only reason why I haven't cleared them out yet is I don't want to get them in my tubs and ponds, which it's gonna have to be about time, because I can't be putting up the decking board and having them around, unfortunately. They have liked all the water over here. Got the little joist in. Now I got to do this corner here, so got another 4x4 post. Dug down a little bit. I just got to attach it. I don't have to worry about cementing it in. I would, but I do got my drainage pipe here. It's pretty close to it. I don't really want to seal that all in with concrete, so it's just mostly there so I could frame the screen onto it and then build our ladder to go up to do all the decking, which is coming soon. But I got to put a screen over the top of it before I do the decking, because I don't want anything coming in. But you guys are about to see all that here in a bit. And also, before I get to all that, I am putting in a post here, kind of about in the middle, lined up with this one. That way it'll cover this big gap. I got those boards over there, so that'll close in that triangular part that I was worried about. Didn't know what I was really gonna do, but figured it out as we got to it. Get my post in, that way we can keep that running across. Should be nice and sturdy. And now I have the minimal amount of posts in here. So I wanted to try to do as much as I could without putting as many posts in the middle, because when I do put posts in the middle, you can tell it takes up real estate. But certain ones, you know, you gotta have. I think it turned out pretty good. Then you'll see what I'm gonna do with these. This is gonna be cool when I get to these. And kind of why I cantilevered it, which is a fancy word for overhang. All right, so there we are. Little post is in. That one was easy because I just had to line it up to the top, screw it in. Make sure I got the cement all filled in, as well as the corner pieces are in now. And you can see there's still a gap, which I'll fill those gaps later. I wanted it to at least be even. You can see the barn slightly slants, like I mentioned. The storm had blown it through years and years. Now that's all ready. Now I can start working on my first screen here, because this is where my ladder is going to be. I want to go ahead and get the screen on first, and then we'll put the ladder material on top of it. So now I gotta find out my square here. I'm gonna go all the way against the barn, and we'll frame it out from there. I actually may do 2 frames. I may do a small frame here and then another frame. And that's mostly for the fact that I can screw my ladder pieces on and have a 2x4 there instead of a 2x4 here, 2x4 here, nothing there. It would have just been screened, nothing to really tie onto. That's a long run, people climbing up. So if we go ahead and screen, it'll give me that piece of 2x4. Or I could just stick a 2x4 there on top of the screen. I may even do that. All right, next load of wood is here. I got the rest of the joist here, a couple 2x4s, finish up the trim and the decking board, which is all gonna go up here. And this is gonna put me at just a little over a mile worth of wood that is in this project so far. So that's pretty wild to think about. Now all the joists are in, all those little ones. Let my tubs breathe a little bit, got the tops pulled back, but time for the first screen here. So I'm gonna go from here to here. Then we'll just add a 2x4 in for this, and I don't have to worry about framing it in so much. I can just tack it in. And I measured each side here, up and down, to about half of the 4x4 here, and then all the way to the barn. Because I wanna leave room for the door here, kind of like I did down there. Same thing as over there, but when I get to the full pieces, I can use it fully. So measure that at your discretion. And since it's not perfectly square everywhere, my measurements are all over the place. So I've got 81.5. So I had to minus like 7.5 due to each board. And I wanted my tops and my bottoms to connect to my post, because that's all the support they really have over there. But you can see here, I've got my squares made up. Yes, they're not all the same size. Still looks pretty square. You can see my bottom and my top will hang on to the same post as my sides will. And I don't know, I may have to add something in for support, but right now we're just working on the frames. So as you can see here, I've got lines through this. And what I did to get that is just run it through a table saw. So I've got my blade barely up. It may be a 1/4 inch or so up, and then just a little bit in. Then ran them all the way through, and I didn't worry about which side it was on per se. I did pick my prettiest side for the faces, but as far as which side the cut was on didn't really matter, because I could always flip-flop them. And by running them all the way through. And then I went ahead and ran them on the side. Looks like I only got to do it on the top and bottom, not so much on the side piece. I didn't know, so I just did it on both. I don't really need this here. But on these bottom and tops, I have to do each end as well. That way I can get that full square laying around to put my spline in. And this is what a spline is. So it goes in there, you push it in with your screen, and it'll hold it in. That's how they do windows. That's how, it's like, I wonder how they do window screens, so I'll make my own window screens. I'll get that spline. So now I just got to cut a piece of screen out for this. And I do have a spline roller there to help me put it in. But first, I've got to screw the frame together. So, I mean, kind of hard to just get something or to really shoe nail it in without tearing things up. So, I got a pocket Craig. So this is a pocket Craig jig. And you put it at the end of your 2x4. It comes with this drill bit, and it drills down an angle, as you can see here, which will allow me to get a 3-inch screw down in an angle, which I did a test piece here because it was really the first time I ever messed with it. But nice, strong joint. So should work pretty good and hold in. So I got to screw this together, measure out the screen, spline it in, and we should have our first frame. And I've got some 8-foot screen material here. It's nothing real fancy, usual just kind of screen mesh. Not even really sure the type, because it was so long ago that I got this. I don't even know how many feet is in that roll, but I know it's 8 foot. So I'll get that open, spread it out, and cut the fit. That's been sitting back there for probably since May. Just trying to get to this point. That's how long this project has taken me. I mean, it's been a big project. Like I said, it's been about a little over a mile of lumber already. Chop, 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 chop. Actually decided to put the spline in first, and the roller does make a huge difference with getting that in there, because trying to get it with your fingers, forget about it. This is a lot easier. And so I'll get this in here. That way I can stretch it and make sure it's nice and tight. I am finding it easier to go ahead and just spline this in here before I cut it. And I did have a 0.175 at first, but I am learning that a 0.140 worked a lot better. That 0.175 was way too thick. But now we're cooking. You can see spline is in. First screen. Now we're going to trim the excess, which even if it is this much, I'm not worried about that much hanging off, because even when it goes in and pinches in, you'll be able to hide between the gaps. So let me go ahead and get it trimmed off about yay. This is a major part. First screen is done. Check it out, looks clean, looks nice. Let's get it up. That was not easy getting that over here. Had to use this little cart, but we got it up, and this is a big deal. So this is kind of what it's gonna look like here, screened in. And you know, the visibility is still pretty nice with it. It's gonna wrap all the way around here eventually. And being inside, what a feeling that is. Feels like it's coming together. Nice. So there's that. And I guess if I really want to seal this in, I could get like a piece of stripping, 2x4 or even a 2x2, put them over the top of these and on the bottom, kind of pinch that in. That way the screen doesn't wiggle its way out over time. But for now, let's go ahead and get this 2x4 in here, and then we'll get the stairs on. Makeshift stairs are done, pretty easy. 2x4s, 16-inch. I can walk up there now, or at least climb up there. And maybe I'll do something else in the future, but you know, not a lot of people are going to be going up there, and it actually works pretty well. So you can just climb right up. Now, we can get the screen up on here, start working on the decking. And before I do that, I am gonna go ahead, and you see how there's only 4 screws on this long post here. I'm gonna go through and add a few more screws on those 16 footers. That way they're more solid. That part is done. All right, here's that skid into the decking. I realized I didn't have as many as I ordered, and they sent those to me. But now it's time to get those up there. Let's do this. Go ahead and put my wonkier pieces to the side here, because I don't want to start off with those. Getting some good ones leaned up there. I'm gonna get them up. That way I can kind of walk on them and then get the screen on. Got my netting up here. Got the corner stapled down over there, so I can go ahead and get it tight where I want. It looks like I'll just have to move these boards over a little bit. Should get me that far. Roll it down, staple it in, put more boards up so I can get all the way down and around. And that'll get my screen started. Then we'll take these boards, or put boards on top of them, and put them on here. Get that covered. And then we'll get the screen on this side once I get work off of this side. And then we'll do the same thing with the decking. So it's definitely going to be a bit of work. And it's only going from here. As you can see, no joist over there. And here's a little trick with the screen, because, you know, my roll would fall right through. So as I roll it out, I staggered these two boards. So once it gets passed back onto this one, I can pull this one out, and then tighten it up, staple it down, and keep working my way back. Same way, stagger it out, little bit by little bit. And that way I'll make sure that it's nice and straight as much as possible. But it's becoming, oh man. To give you an idea how big it is, bird's eye view. Check this out. This is at the wide angle. I gotta be careful where I walk here. There you can see the tubs and stuff underneath there. Right up at the roof. Pretty cool. And the view up here, forget about it. Gorgeous. First run of screen is done. Check it out. Actually took some time, but man, it looks good though. I'm gonna do it right. Heading down that way. I did go ahead and cut the end here, so I just trimmed it up with the scissors, and then same down here. Did overhang a little bit, but I didn't want it to flap out, and we'll just connect this next one. That's going down, all the way down. Let's get that going. Starting to lose sunlight. I had to break out ye old lantern. And of course, got to make sure my netting mesh is straight again. You can see the angle I had to cut for over there. Gotta get a good start. Yeah, time to get the front edge going. Laying the deck down. New day. All right, getting it started here. Got the front lip done. Made sure it was as straight as possible. Now I can start throwing my boards on this. And it did land over here. I ended up cutting the first one. You can see it's just a little shy, which I should have just left it as my overhang is here. So I'm gonna just run with that because it'll be a lot less work and it'll give me overhang. So now I can start working this on back, and I'll start working that one. And soon we'll have a deck. Boy, I'm really pushing myself on this one too, because I got to get that wood up before it warps. Story of the whole build. Get your wood up before it warps. All right, I got a little platform going here. That's about as far as I can go until I get my 8 feet here, because it's going to overlap some. I'm not going to bother with cutting it. We'll get that overlapped. Finish working this end. I do got to kind of take it easy because it isn't bolted to the barn yet. And so there is a little sway back and forth. Very slight, but I don't want to make it too much. Safe enough to work on, but we'll get that more solid here after a while. We're going to work on the front edge and work our way back around, kind of like we did here. That way I'll have a nice platform over there and start working my way in. Woo! It's awesome. Man, I am tired. Get her done though. Only one way to do it. That's to do it. Alright, got both sides done here as far as the front goes. We'll have to come back and do this side later. Little bits, cuts. And it worked just right at the angle too, so worked really good that I didn't have to cut too much. Trying to rain on me now. Trying to get the screen wrapped around this on this other side, so having to move my platforms over. I got this one stacked here. Run my two boards, that way I can stagger it, roll it down, slide that board out, roll it down on this one, slide that out like I did last time, and try to get this straightened up in between all the rain. So now I gotta staple this down, run it through, and then I'll be able to board it on back. Then I'll have most of my area covered. I'll just come up, clean up, trim in. But getting there, a lot of it actually is the screws take quite a bit of time too. Because I am trying to hit them all. I am hitting them all, not trying. There on each one. That way it's nice and solid. Don't have any warping or bending. It'll last a lot longer. So it's going to take a lot of screws. Getting there, getting there. I gotta get these ponds covered up. Oh, and the ones underneath it, definitely covered up. I don't want none of this blue stuff, treated stuff getting in there. Trying my best here. Nice Florida rain shower. How beautiful. Give me a break. Now, as I get this screen on, staple it up in the front. But as I'm going down the line, I'm tightening it here at the bottom, stapling it, and then I run the stapler up so it kind of flattens it out as I run it up. And then what I do, I'll get so far, then I'll put boards down here, and then I'll do the same thing, running it up. That way, running the screen up, that way it starts pushing against this edge here, and it'll fill in the gap more. Even though I plan on foaming that out so nothing gets in, but it'd be nice to have the screen all the way to the edge. So I'll do that. Right now, as you can see, I got it set up all the way for this 16. I could go all the way down to about that far. And then I'll just keep doing the process. And about there, almost got it done, screened in. Can't wait. And then it's just laying down boards, stapling the screen down. Quick shopping hack here. So we've got 800 pieces in there, $50. This one's got 1,200 pieces. Or no, 1,000 pieces. 2.5 had 1,000 now. These are the bigger buckets, but they're 114. It's got 175 less. The other one was 800. This one's got 20 less. But still, $14 more. So it's actually cheaper to get the smaller buckets than the bigger buckets. As far as the staples, just using T50s, 1 1/4. Put that netting down, see how it straightens up after I push it over. Alright, as many of you guys know from the start of this, like this barn is not square, so some of this is not square as well. So what I've done, this is carrying over. Here, you can see it on the edge here. See how it's going in? Because it gets pushed in, because the barn's kind of slanting in that way. Or I don't know, maybe I didn't square up the frame. But either way, for a full longboard, I'm going ahead and biting the bullet here, trimming it off the front, because I could always cover that. I could always cut that and make it look good. But honestly, it's not a beauty pageant. But as far as getting a full board in, it was coming off away from the original board. So then I just cut another 2x4 here to attach to it. Now it may run off to where I've got to do two 2x4s. So I've got 2 cut here. I can put double it up there. Now I don't have to worry about structural support, because as long as it's kind of up there, all these other ones are holding it as well. So it's got plenty of structural support. And this is why I cover up the tubs. Look at this water on this plastic. You can see it all the way up here from this ladder. It's green. Full of that treatment that they put on it. All that would have been in the tubs. But imagine that's not good for them. Mind the light here. But all this rain, look at this water in here. Luckily I had this little handy gadget. It's kind of got like a little motor at the end of it. You put batteries in it and it'll pull the water out for you. That is some nasty water. How many in do you think I'm in? So I got the light here at the bottom. That way I can see. You can even see it on the barn there, where the rafters are. So this should make it easier for me to get things screwed in. Oh, it is dark, but we do got a nice full moon tonight. We got the radio to go and a couple buckets of screws. Let's do this. Yeah, here you can see. It's a lot easier to see. Now, if you don't want to do it like this, it does help. Wait until like sunset. That way the light would come in and then I could see it then. I don't know, just something to think about. Or you could just put your screws in all the way first. I just didn't have that kind of time. One man, this big of a job, trying to do it so fast. Gotta be wise about how I do it. Check it out. Pretty cool. What a night. What a night. Moon has moved a long way away. And the sun is coming up. What a night. 2,000 some screws later. Well over 2,000 screws. You may be asking yourself, why did I do this? Why did I stay up all night to do it? Because it was either burned from the sun during the day or do it at night, where at least it's cool. How deep do you think I got now? Get her done though, get her done. Still more to do. Getting there though. Now, to do along the edge here, we got to make sure everything is sealed and enclosed so things do not get down in there. Some of these gaps are big-ish, so we'll put in a little foam in between there. But these that are small, still around 1 inch, I can use this spray foam here to get that all taken care of. So that's what's next. As I put it in here, I'm gonna make sure I push it down quite a little bit of ways. That way, when I put the foam on top of it to make sure it's still sealed, because see, there's still little gaps here. But it takes care of that big gap. This is just piping insulation. I'm just kind of using it as a big backer rod. That'll give me a nice tight seal around this grooved in barn. And if you do notice some of the boards like this, that was because I could screw in one end, but I had to offset the other end. That's kind of how I did it down. Because, I mean, you can't just get the screws in if it's already there, so. It works. This is a cool view. The rice fish. All right, now time to clean up this edge on this board because it did overhang a little bit. So I just got another 2x4. That way I could know the exact of where it's gonna sit. Put it where this 2x4 is because that's what I want to leave for trim when I put on my screening. That's what all that trim's for. So I just put the 2x4 on down that way and then trace the line. So as I cut this off, that'll expose that area that I'll need later on for my trimming. So that's how you get around that the easy way. Looks a lot better. And I just used my trusty old skill saw there. And because how it laid out and how I laid it out, you know, with the different weird angles here, the joists are going this way because that's where it followed through this way. And I kept it that way. I don't know if I should have, but either way, it was going to have to run one way or the other. So I'll probably go ahead and trim it for like this square area and then follow my joist. Or I could put extra supports in between these and then I could just follow this all the way down through here. Actually, I put the supports between here. That way I could push this full boards over and up as much as possible. But still, I'm gonna have to have a nicer connection, I guess, somewhere between some of these because they're not even. And I did have to change things up. I don't want to cut them now. So I don't know. It may be easier just to make the specific cuts where they need to be on down like so. So there's a couple options you could do with this. But either way, you got no choice but to get it done. So this is going to take a while. I'm probably not going to show all that, but that's all just different measurements and whatnot. Just kind of ways to think about it. And you can see here where the added board for support, like I'll need that for here anyway. So it's nothing to add some boards for support to tie it down however you would want to. I just got to make a decision. This side covered fast because of that. And it sucks that the shipment was different. That's why a lot of those boards are different too, is they're not the same as those. They were just like, what, 3/4 short? Or no, it's actually like, looks like a couple inches short. But yeah, time to finish this up. I did go ahead with the extra supports. That way I can just go down this way, pin it in, and then I'll make my little cuts here in between. And that'll tie it all in together. And then of course I'll have to cut on back that way. And then for this, I think I'm just gonna have to make my cuts. I'll lay one here and I'll get my diagonal cuts later, but should be able to run square here all the way, and then I'll just square this as much as I can. It ain't gonna be the prettiest, but it's gonna be mine and it's gonna be done. I don't get paid for this. Matter of fact, I'm paying for this. All right, now it's time to do this angled edge here. As you can see, it gets a little more narrow as it goes down. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna measure every little under 4 feet, because my level is only 4 foot and I trust this more than any straight board out there. So I'm gonna be using my level. So I'm gonna do every 4 foot, and I'm gonna mark every 4 what I get on here. That should give me my angle and make it a nice tight fit. Which I had the foam backer rod in here. You can see there I don't need it. And those wider gaps I do. I am gonna do the expansion foam, the spray foam here after I get this cut, because I'm gonna want this cut and then I'm gonna put the board right on top of it and kind of seal it all in together with the board. So I'll be laying it with the wet foam. You can see here I got the spray foam in, put it on both edges, and this will give me a nice tight seal. And now I can start putting the edges on like so. Voila! Deck is done. It ain't the prettiest, but it's done. It's mine, and it's up here. Check it out. Big space. Maybe one day we'll have a little stream pond that goes one here and do a second one down that way. I don't want them both the same. I don't know, that'd be huge. Could do one huge one. But you know, I got collectoritis. Would be nice to have two. Maybe I would do that. Need support, but that's way down the road. If ever I would do that. But now, what a view. I had to bolt down some chairs, bolt down a table. Have a nice spot to hang out. I can look over my fish, and it'll be a lot easier for me to put the screens on these. These are 16 foot, and these are about 14 foot, and these are 8 foot. These are big spans for screens, so it'll be a lot easier to do that. And my roof isn't the best. You can see it's kind of sitting sideways. Lots of wind, hurricanes been blowing at it for many, many years. So that's why the barn's crooked. So one day that's got to be fixed. It would be cool to add a whole nother floor to this and put up a crow's nest. That would be crazy. And then just have like one big room. That'd be like my main like mission room where I could work on projects and just create and build and create, and just have a lot of space for all my stuff, centralize certain tools for certain crafts, things like that. So maybe one day, because I will need a new roof at some point. And I could just build the floor level right on top of these wood frames, because these are thick. These are super thick. Like, this ain't no joke. Like, huge. I think they're like 8x8s or 10x10s. But they'll definitely hold some weight. Enough to put another floor on there. And I am going to fill that in with a little more foam on top. That way it doesn't really catch water down there. The water runs off instead of getting caught in like the gaps. And the next step now is, you see these posts. There's posts like these right here in the middle. Each one of these posts is sitting on a post just like that. So what I'm going to do now is drill these massive lag screws from this deck into these that are on the side. So here I'd have one on each end. I'd have one there, I'd have one here in the middle, and then also on this end. And then the middle one is actually pretty close to that end post, so that works out pretty good. I'll put 2 here, put 2 on this side. Total of 10. And these are the lag screws here. These things are big mamma jammas, so it takes 15 and 16 inch, or yeah, 15 16th inch. Almost an inch for these. Freaking chunky. And I guess my biggest bit, that's gonna have to be my pilot bit. This one here. So I'll use that as a pilot. See, plenty of meat. Should be good. Should be perfect, really. And I'll just hook this socket to a 1/2 inch drive, because you can see here, 1/2 inch drive. And then I'll go into my drill. Get me a pilot hole in here. Had to put you guys down while I took it nice and slow to get it through that other layer there. But I've got the chuck on here. Ready to get this lag screw in. Big boy. That thing's enormous. It's a, I think it's a 5/8 by 6. Probably have to set you guys down for this. It's gonna be loud. It's in there. It wasn't easy, and probably need to get a bigger drill bit. Probably need to get a bigger drill bit than this one I have, because when it gets to this part, it gets really thick and it's hard to get that through. These drills can't even handle it. It was so hard getting that leg screw in there. So probably have to hit it with this bad boy. This is a 3/4. That's about as thick as this is. I would like to be right underneath that, at least an 1/8 inch. And it's already getting late, so probably have to do this tomorrow. All right, those are in. This thing is not going anywhere. It did end up having to give me a 15 by 16 wrench to really torque those in, and I won't lie, it was not easy. Drill could only go so far, so hand wrenched them in. You can see how big they are compared to those 2x10s. I'll just have to bolt them down. It's gonna be a mission, but it's gonna be hecka strong. I also went ahead and got a 5/8 drill bit. That way it would go through a little smoother. Still, it was pretty tight going through that wood post. They say you can soap it, like get a bar of soap, it'll glide it in a little easier. I don't have one, should have got one, but I'm not going back out for anything. I'm just got to get this done. That is a little trick if you want it to be a little easier. Yeah, I could get it into about there, and then it's hand wrenching all the way in. But you know, at least I know it's gonna be strong. I'm going ahead and filling in these cracks. That way water doesn't sit in them. Right, guys, first top screen is on here. About 4 foot by 16 foot. Now this was a real pain to get up here. We went off by the side, one ladder here, one ladder over there, put it on the side, and then I could kind of position and place it, but it was a real pain. And these next ones are 8 foot by 16 foot. So I think what I'm gonna do is go ahead and get them built on top of the deck, and then that way we can slide them down. It should be a lot easier, but it's beginning. It's beginning. We're gonna finally enclose this thing. Woo 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 woo. Oh, and as far as attachment, screw there, screw there, screw in the middle. One of the biggest jumping spiders ever. Check out that dude. He's a beast. But anyways, 3, or well, 1 here, 1 in the middle, 1 there, 3 there. So it's really 3 on each side. It doesn't really need much. It just needs enough to like pin it down, because this is not going anywhere. Nice big open views. That's why I wanted them big like that, just to have that open view, you know, not impede all the sky. And it is a pretty windy day today. You can see where it's kind of flapping a little bit. Quite breezy. You can see it in the trees, but still it's handling it fairly well. I don't think that's going to be too much of an issue. I don't know if supports at the bottom will really help. I don't know. What do you guys think? I really don't want to impede that view like I mentioned. Oh, check this out right in front of me. Oh, didn't mean to scare you, buddy. You know, this thing puts out crazy lasers. If you guys didn't know, your camera will flash out a bunch of lights, infrared, and I think some animals can see it. All right, I'm gonna start making my way down. Being up here, hopefully I can just slide it over there. Starting to get this worked on. I'm gonna start making my way down here. So hopefully I can flip this over, slide it over, make it a lot easier. But look at this, this is really wild looking. Look at the shadows on the screens and the screws. How it just diffuses around the screws and the edging. It's really wild looking. Look at that. Trippy. Here you can see a bit of what we're going for. Now to work my way down and around. Some of you guys may be wondering how I'm getting these big ones over there. So we flip them over, make sure I got my bottom and my right side where it goes. And then we kind of turn them. I walk this a little bit, set it down, and then now we're just scooching it bit by bit. So she's pushing back and I'm on the other ladder pulling back. That's how we get the big 8-foot by 16-foot pieces up. When it comes to making these, I've got to go one by one because I got to get the right measurements and pretty much just make a square. It keeps me on which side where I need to make it. And you can see they're pretty close. Now I do give myself an 1/8 inch with these because you don't want them too tight, and even with the 1/8 inch off, they often get tight because when you're screwing them in, you can see how sometimes there's a little gap. Now, if I would have a better screw, I guess all threaded screw, I wouldn't have that issue so much. I am using the deck screws, so they have that little bit that isn't threaded, and it does cause a little gap in there, which I don't mind the gap. It just helps it breathe a little bit. We're getting them on there, and as far as screwing these down, I do actually just have to walk on down it. Now this isn't OSHA approved, so if you fall, that's on you. Almost done with the ceiling. Putting these in and putting them together, I am using these 3-inch Deck Force exterior wood screws. After building a bunch of these screens now, one thing I learned is it's good to try to get it as tight as you can as you're putting in the spline all the way around. You can see it is a windy day. That moved a little bit, but these are not even moving. You can see the tree blowing. You could hear it, I'm sure. All right, I had to get a mic. This wind's getting crazy, but you can see I cut the edges off here. And one thing else I do with this screen to give it that nice tight fit is you can see down here where that spline's not quite sitting down in it yet. It's just kind of got it set in place. And so now that's cut off, I'm gonna go through and really put them down with the roller. And then that'll give me a nice tighter fit. Another thing I wanted to show you guys is sometimes things don't go as planned. That edge over there is 104 inches and my screen is only 96 inches. So I ended up having to put these boards over to make it to be able to put those on. So I just built onto it. And to get these angles, God, this wind, it is crazy right now. And you can see some of these pieces, they're a little wonky. This one actually almost fell apart on me putting it together. But there's a lot of angles in it. So what I do with those angles, and you see how that bends in just a little bit, like it's just definitely not square anywhere. But what I do is go ahead and make it like it looks. So this board down here is going down a little bit. Then I cut me a little bit of angle so it's where it needs to be. And I just put the board, like this board, to the highest point. Now I'm going to be missing a little bit there. Down the corner, I'm going to be missing this bit right here, but that's fine. I don't really care. But that'll be the angle that I need. And same with this end. You can see there's an excessive bit here. I'll end up just chopping that off because that will get in my way if I don't chop it off. So the wonkier pieces, of course, are just a little more work. A few little tidbits and tips in case you guys run into something where, you know, it doesn't go as planned. You can see that corner where I did it on that one. If there's a will, there's a way. Figure it out. Like I said, I just built onto it, covered where I could. Now, I could have put in a mesh little screen space, but I would have had to sew all that. I didn't want to do that. And I don't know, it would have probably tore easily. Who knows? Alright, got to get these done. And with putting the screen on these, you can see go all the way down. Just make sure you cover it all. And then roll from that. Make sure it's straight, make sure it's even. You gotta do nothing fancy, just make sure it's all the way covered. And I'll probably start on the long end, work my way down, up, and back over. Now you see how I have a gap here. When I first put these on, I could only do one side because the other one was buttered up and I could only get to a ladder from like each end. So one ended up not getting screwed in, but now that they are doubled up, it's a lot easier to walk on. So I do have some clamps here. This is giving me a nice tight fit and I can screw those down. Now, I'm not a professional at doing any of this. Matter of fact, this is actually the first time I've ever done anything like this. So keep that in mind. And it may not be perfect, but it is mine. I know I say that a lot. Ooh, it's looking good though. Hopefully this will be the last haul of materials for a while. Because boy, there is at least a mile over wood in this project. Sealing is done, putting on the sides and using the clamps for these as well. Get a nice tight fit. And after building a lot of these, I have learned that it is good to keep the stretch in it and keep it as tight as possible. A lot of the slack, once you get like the first side and then the first top, then you really start pulling the slack out of it, evening it up. Keeps it real tight. Makes it real nice. And I also don't roll it all the way down. I get this like somewhat in it, kind of channeled in, and then I'll cut my scrap and then push it down. That way it gets an even tighter fix. That way it gets an even tighter fit when I'm putting in the spline. See how it's up a little bit? That'll actually go all the way in after I cut the scrap. That'll help pull it a little more. All right, got quite a few of the screens in here, and I've got a storm coming, and you can see how this is exposed here. That's got the spline. I don't want the wind to push out, even though when it does get windy, like these don't even really move, but to help keep these tied down, as well as some have gaps at the top. These cheap little thin wood fence pieces, I don't know, they're less than $2 a piece. I chop them in half, and those are a good solution. I was using a 2x4 for the first one I did. That would have been way heavier and way more expensive. So you can see here, I've got one up already. Nice tight fit, nice clean, and closes that off. And you can see here, I'm also using the clamps to keep it nice and tight. But yeah, now to run through all these, keep that spline down, that'll really lock it in. And I just happen to have these smaller screws, 1 5/8, so works out perfect. Just a sheer amount of sawdust out here. Things like a mountain. Looks like snow. It's just from the table saw. Now I showed you guys this corner earlier, and this is actually a simple fix. You could use a lot of things, but what I'm gonna do is use this 2x6x8 and simply just put it in there. So without it, huge hole in there. And here it is in. So nice and closed off, nothing getting in. I had to put a little spray foam up there. Bada bing, bada boom. Now these screens look in the rain. It's pretty cool. Kind of like starry. All right, working on the door here. Went ahead and got a piece of 16-inch up there because the screen I got was only 7 foot. Really hard to find right sizes since they make only really standard sizes for these magnetic doors. Now they do make custom ones, but they are an arm and a leg, and it's like either 300 bucks or 30 bucks. So I already bought this, spent my 30 bucks, and it is 9 foot long and 7 foot high. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna got a board here cut for the span there, marked my middle point. So that's where the magnetic door is gonna be, and I'm gonna stretch this out. All right, so now I got it laid out right in the middle, right where it needs to be as far as the middle magnetic part, right in the seam. Now I didn't have to straighten it out or nothing, but to get my length. So this should allow me to customize it here a little bit. And I'm gonna just cut this, tack that on. So kind of like building a wood frame for it. All right, so that board is on using the 1 5/8 screw. You can see here I left some at the edge because this will actually be behind the post, so this will fit in there. And then the screw, you can see where I screwed it kind of in the middle of the Velcro instead of the screen. So if I would have screwed into the screen, would have made it weak, and that Velcro will be a lot stronger. Now when we do the sides, I won't have that luxury. And I guess we'll just see how long it lasts. But this is what we're gonna try first. Let's get this up. All right, so I got that piece up, measured my sides here, got those boards, and all I did was pull this out. You can see I only got it tacked up here. And then just put that on there. So I've got a couple options on the way I can do the sides here. As you can see, there's a lot of overhang. Would be really hard to just roll it up and try to fold it in there and try to screw it in at the same time. So I can either cut it, which that's probably what I'm gonna do. I could lay another trim piece down, that way it would really tighten it in and it wouldn't go anywhere, but it would kind of stick out. I don't know if I really want to do that. So I don't know, I may just cut this and hope that pinning this in is enough to just kind of keep it in there throughout time. So those are a couple options. It seems to be fitting pretty well here. All right, instead of cutting it, here I'm gonna go ahead and put the trim on. You can see how it's just sticking out here at the top. I got it kind of flapped over, but that's more or less to hold this as I tuck this in and kind of roll it back in. That way it will hold it more and not be so loose and flappy. So that should clear it and clean it up, and then that'll keep this edge on here, that'll keep wire from trying to stretch out through time, because I did try to pull on it a little bit. I could see it moving, flexing on that. Yeah, I could put more screws in it, but I want it to last. Although who knows how long this will be UV resistant and when I'll have to replace it. But shoot, I could buy 10 of these for as much as the custom one would have cost. And that does not look too shabby. So we got a door here, easy to go through. Oh, the cat. It is done finally. For the most part, it is finished. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Now I can travel through the galaxy of fish keeping with this mothership of all motherships for outdoor tub breeding. All right, here we go. Time for the tour. It is pretty windy here. Glad to see that the door is doing a good job hanging in there, and it's so nice just to be able to bust in, come back, door shut right behind me. Here it is. It's all finished. Still a bit to clean up, and now, I mean, it's finished. We still got to do what all is going to go on the inside here. But man, this is sweet. Look how much space I'm going to have. No more dragonflies getting in. These tanks here, I'm going to end up putting on here. Build some racks around. And then pretty much tubs and stuff all around. And then one of these ponds over here. That way I can do some breeding with them using this big old breeding cage. And I do got plastic around for still when it's raining. I'm making sure that I'm going to give it a little more time. I may do that all the way up until spring, till it really rinses things off. Same with the top covers. I still got to do this door back here. Now it is finally done. Those are the other covers. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? This is exciting. And I got to work on getting this duckweed out of here so it doesn't travel. Check it out. Now for some fish. Do a quick little gander at some fish in here. Check out all these platinum rice fish. Yes, babies. Next season, we're going to have it on and popping. These God R types. It's like a black and orange. Kind of like a mix with the King Yamas and the blacks. Albinos. Rice fish. And then whatever these guys are. I can't remember their name. Got a bunch of King Yamas prepped for next season too. Same with the red tigers. These red tigers are actually almost ready for sale. Some of them. I may still hoard a few. But they also throw once in a while these black and white ones. Which I got a whole tub full of them. But they have been throwing these orange morphs. You see the spider web's been catching granules. Look at that. Orange, black, white mix. I got the... Then I got like the straight black ninja rice fish. Bunch of mixed ones. So this is going to be a huge, huge farming factory for that. And I've got more and more down these tubs. Goldfish. But it's mostly rice fish right now. What's up, guys? They're my cleaner crew. Clean up my mops for me.